about all the costs, what are we talking about when we say we need to include all the costs? We are referring to the direct cost and also the indirect cost. So you want to find out how much is the cost of this product. But that cost, you want to include all your direct costs and all your indirect costs. Now, for example, you are baking cakes. Now, in order for us to bake cakes, we need some direct costs. The direct costs that we need for baking cakes, let me rather make this. In order for us to bake cakes, we need the direct costs. And what are the direct costs that we need? We need flour. We need, what else do we need?
Eggs.
Eggs, it's an elite cake. Then we need water. These are the direct costs. We also need oil, cooking oil. Now, if we put some numbers to this, we can say that our flour for one cake, this is now, let's say for one cake, let's say it costs 20 cents for one cake, not the whole bag. Eggs for one cake maybe cost 30 cents. Water for one cake, it's maybe 10 cents. Cooking oil for one cake costs 20 cents. Then we get cost, or let me say prime cost for that one cake. If we add together 30, this is 50, 60, 80 cents. Your cake will cost 80 cents. Do we understand up to here? The direct costs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
now these
sir.
are your direct costs. Now remember, that cake is happening in a building that you are paying for. Where you are baking your cakes, they say building where you are paying rent. And then you have employees that you are paying a salary, maybe at the end of the month. We should have put it here, but it's okay. We don't have to put it there anymore. You have electricity. Electricity is also not direct because sometimes the electricity is just on the whole day or even at night. Electricity that you must pay for. The other direct cost that you might have is the other indirect cost. Okay, let's talk about these three. Now, when you are going to make the price for your cake, you don't just say, this is how much it's going to cost me. Because if you say it costs you 80 cents, therefore I must only add, say, 20 cents profit, and I must sell it for 80 cents your cost, sell it for $1. If you only use this information that you have here, Who can tell me what is the problem? Because when you understand what will be the problem there, that's where you will start understanding absorption costing. If you only do this and you say, I'm going to sell it for $1 because my costs are only flour, eggs, water, oil, and then I add my 20 cents profit, so I'll sell it for $1. What is the problem if you sell it for $1? Someone?
The profit won't cover all the costs because we didn't include the indirect costs.
Perfect. That is very, very, very perfect. The money that you are going to get from this cake is not going to cover your rent. Because remember, rent at the end of the month is maybe 500. Now, this $1 is not going to cover 500 because you have not accounted for it here. The person who is helping you with the cakes, maybe you pay them 300. The electricity, maybe it's 200. So your total indirect, we also call them factory overheads, is therefore 1,000. Now, if you do not account for these costs, you will not be able to pay them with what you are getting here, because this $1, 20 cents is already for flour, 30 cents is for eggs, 10 cents is for oil, cooking oil, water, cooking oil, and then your 20 cents profit. You won't be able to pay this. Now, this is where absorption costing comes in. Absorption costing is now saying, for every cake that you are going to produce, you must add a little bit of money to cover rent, to cover salary, to cover electricity. A little bit. So that if you decide that you are going to produce, say, 2,000 cakes in a month, those 2,000 cakes will be able to cover your factory overheads. Now, how are we going to find out how much we must end here? This is now where we come up with something that we call overhead absorbed. Because we know up to prime cost, we are now coming up with overhead absorbed. In order for you to make the overhead absorbed, you must find out how much is my total factory overhead. Then we know that my total factory overhead is 1,000. Now, there are 3 activity levels that you are going to use, depending on what the question is asking. These cakes that you are producing, are they going to use more of labor? Are they going to use more of machines? Or you just want to absorb them based on the number of units? If you are going to use more of machines, maybe you have those automatic pots that to make these cakes automatically, then you will say most of my overheads are made up of machines. Now, when most of your overheads are made up of machines, you will have something here that will be maybe machine cost of, say, let's say here, and then here your total is going to be 1,800. You can see in this case that your heads is made up of machines. So since it's made up of machines, it means you take your factory overheads divided by the number of hours that you take to produce these cakes. But if it's made up of labor, it means your salary here is probably 8,000. That means your factory overheads that you are going to have here, a big chunk is made up of labor, so it must be divided with labor. Now, when you get the rate, the absorption rate, it's now what you are coming to put here. But the general idea of absorption rate is you want to make sure that the cost of a product includes the direct cost, and also it includes the indirect cost, so that you can come up with a true cost of your product. Because if you only concentrate on direct cost, like it was answered now, you are going to have a problem of your selling price not covering your overheads. Is there any question so far?
No, sir.
All right. When it says no, sir, I believe that when we are going to make the roll on WhatsApp, it's also going to be no. Okay, good. Now let's go to an example. I did 3 different examples. Now with these 3 different examples, if you don't understand the first one, actually there are 4. All these 4 examples, I need you to follow very well, because I will explain it step by step. Where you get lost, you unmute your mic and you ask for clarity. Milele Bags produces custom bags for conferences and events. So this business produces those laptop bags, sort of. Now in March, they believe that this is going to be their factory overheads. What is this factory overhead made up of? It's made up of rent, it's made up of salaries, it's made up of electricity. It's all the indirect costs for March only. And then in March, they think that their employees are going to spend 1,200 making these bags. This is now the total number of hours for all your employees. If you have 5 employees, then you have 5 employees times 8 times the number of days in March. So in total, it's going to be 1,200. Now, it says an order was received from Green Conference organizers for 200 bags. Now, a company came and say, can you please make for us bags? Now, remember, even if this company didn't come, you still had to pay this 132,000. Whether they come with 1 bag, you still have to pay this 132,000 because it's overheads that must always be paid. Now, a company come and say, please make us 200 bags. Now, when you looked at your calculation, you now notice that 200 bags is going to require direct material. The material that you are going to put in your bag is going to require 10,000. Direct wages, here I just made a mistake when I was typing. It should be direct wages. Your direct wages, these are now people who are producing, you pay them per bag. You produce 1 bag, I pay you how much? You produce 2 bags, these are direct wages, 4,400. Now, like what we said before, if you just take 10,200 plus 4,400, we are going to get what we call prime cost. How much is our prime cost? Can someone give me the answer there?
14,600.
14,600. Now, what I want you to understand here is this 14,600 is the cost of your direct costs, is the total direct expenses. This is what it costs to produce these 200 bags. But these costs are not covering this 132,000. If you just say, okay, this is our cost, we are just going to add our profit and we give you how much you need to pay us. Remember, these people are going back with their bags, but this 132 is not covered. That's why you must now come up with a way and say, since you are making our employees work 80 hours, we are going to use these 80 hours to absorb or to cover our overheads. This is now where the word overhead absorption comes in. Overhead absorption. Overhead absorption is now where you are going to say, since this job is going to cost us 80 hours, I'm going to multiply this with the rate. This rate is what you are going to calculate. So I hope we understand the general idea behind it, that we are not going to concentrate only on the direct costs of producing these bags. These bags must also include the overhead so that we'll be able to pay the rent, the salaries, the electricity, and so on. First thing we are going to do is to calculate the absorption rate. The formula for the absorption rate is easy and straightforward. All you need to do is just to say factory overheads. So always given to you, divided by the activity level. Now, this activity level is either direct. Let me write it here. Activity level. Activity level means for you to produce these bags, which component is going to be utilized more? For example, in this case, for you to produce these 200 bags, labor is going to be utilized more. Maybe people are putting the bags together with their hands. So then if it's labor, then we are going to divide with direct labor hours. Sometimes if the activity level for you to produce those bags, if another question will come that is going to talk about that, if you are using machines more, then you are going to use direct machine hours, which will also be given. Now, sometimes it's neither labor nor machines, but it depends on the number of units you are producing. Then you are going to use total units produced. Now, this exercise is very easy. I made it from the easiest to the complex in the examples because the activity level is already given here as direct labor. In some exercises, you need to check yourself. This production overhead, must I divide it with labor? Must I divide it with machine? Or must I divide it with units? You need to check yourself. But in this case, it's easy because we are just going to divide with labor. So you divide it with direct, or you can just say labor hours. So in this case, now this is where we get 132,000 divided by the labor hours, and the labor hours is 1,200. We are going to get an absorption rate of, can someone give me the answer?
110.
110.
110
Direct
per hour. If you want to be fancy, you can say per direct labor hour. But if you say per hour, it's also good. the problem of saying this direct labor, you might end up saying direct labor when you have used machine, then in that case it will be wrong. You just say 110 per hour. Now you are saying, if you bring us an order, every hour that we are spending on your order, you need to pay 110. That is going to contribute to our fixed costs. Do we understand that statement? If you bring us an order and you want us to do for you something, apart from paying for your direct materials that we need to produce your material with, and the labor that we need to pay the people who are busy with the product, every hour that we spend on your material, 110 must be used to contribute to our fixed overheads. And then you do it with each and every order that is coming in. At the end of the month, you will notice that all the orders that you have received have actually covered a little bit that went to overheads. Now we go to letter B. Letter B now says, prepare a job cost statement to determine the total cost of producing this. Now we are now going to do the job cost statement. Okay, so here we are going to write job cost statement. Doesn't it really has a format? If you can even do it without not drawing lines, as long as the answers are there, we will look for what is correct, because it's not a format. The format just makes it much easier. Now, just like the example that I gave here, your job cost statement has to start in this way. What are the things that are directly involved with that order? You start like what we started here. Then you say, for us to do this order, the materials are going to cost us 10,200. So you write down that direct materials is 10,200. And then direct wages, the people that are busy with the material, direct wages is 4,400. And then we are going to get prime costs. Prime cost, we already know from last year, is the sum of all your direct expenses. We got 14,600. Now we already know by now, after I explained, that the story does not end here. If you make the story to end here, then it means you are not going to cover your fixed costs. This is now where you will come and say, overhead absorbed. How are we going to absorb our overheads? We are going to say this job of 200 bags is going to cost us 80 hours. And for every hour, according to what we have here, every hour, 110 must go to overheads. Then the answer that we are going to get here is how much?
8,800.
88,000.
8,800.
8,800.
8,800.
Now, the total cost, now you can go back to green conference organizers, the owners, those people that gave you the job. And then you can now tell them that we are done, we are able to produce for you the bags, and how much is the cost?
It's 23,400.
23,200. Now, you people are smart. You'll be able, if you, yes,
It's
8,200.
23,400.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Now, as a business person, does the story end here? Do you go back to them and say, you are going to pay us 23,400? Does the story end there?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
What must we do now? Okay, it's not part of this question, but this is now where you are going to say, add markup, which is also called now your profit, of say 30%, or even let me make it 20% so that we don't get decimals. Now, how much is that profit?
4,680.
4,680. Now, your selling price, when you go back to the people who want those specs, you will now tell them that they must pay how much?
28,080.
28,080. Now, what I want you now to observe here is, if you check this, it only costs 14,000 to make the bags, but the customers ended up paying 28. This is how it is also out there. The cost that you are paying for the product is not really the true cost. If you go to Pick and Pay and buy a birthday cake, you are also paying for the employees of Pick and Pay. You are also paying for their rent. You are also paying for their transport within that cake. If you buy the ingredients and you go bake the cake yourself at home, it will be way, way cheaper compared to what you have paid. So most of the products that are being sold out there, it's because they have overheads that are absorbed and they also have profit. That's why you see the price actually doubled. So that is how it is everywhere. Do we understand now the concept?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if we understand the concept, we go to the second example. Second example will move fast because you said you understand. Oh, I forgot to erase this. We don't need this. Just forgot to erase it out. But when I post it on the group, I will not put it there. Don't know if it will have any effect, but we don't need it. Yeah, it will have an effect. It will have an effect. So let me do what? Can someone multiply this for me so that we can get the answer? $60 times 65.
3,000.
3,900.
3,900.
3,900. Okay, good. Now we move fast this time. How much is the fixed overheads?
$300,000.
300,000. Divided by
2,500 hours.
2,500. And then what are we going to get here?
120,000.
120 Namibian dollars per
Hour.
hour.
Or you can say per machine hour, because here we are dealing with machine, but just make sure if you say per machine hour, it's really machines. Then we analyze this. This is how much our overheads are. In the month of April, we think that this is going to be our overheads. We also think that our machines are going to be running for 2,500 hours. Now, for every job that comes, it must pay 120 towards the number of hours that we have. Now, we receive a job from Delta. They want chairs. And for us to produce for them these chairs, it will require the materials, 18,000, direct labor, 3,900. This is what was supposed to be here, but in some exercises, you might just find 60 times 65. It means you must multiply yourself. In order for us to finish these machines, these chairs, our machines will be running for 100 hours. Now, for every hour that it's running, they must pay 120. So, job cost statement, I'm not even going to draw lines here. Now I believe we understand. If you are lost, you let me know so that I can clarify what is not clear. Materials, we have 18,000. Wages, we have 3,900. Prime cost, we have how much?
21,900.
21,900. Can someone now tell me what I must do here at overhead absorbed?
We must multiply the 100 times the 120 that we worked
100
out.
times 120, and then we get
12,000.
12,000.
12,000. Then how much is the total cost of these chairs, of 50 chairs?
33,900.
33,900.
Yes, then that is done. It's already done like that. Unless if the questions say also include profit, then you add. That question is done. We move to the next one. The next one is units. I'm giving you 3 minutes to, not 3 minutes, 2 minutes to quickly get me the absorption rate.
Budgeted overhead 60. Bye.
It's 20, sir, per hour.
Okay, did we all get 20?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, the people that didn't do it at school, are you following? Do you understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yes,
Now, we are now going to do the job cost statement. I'll just put the information there. Quickly, 2 minutes, job cost statement. Can you give me the total cost of the job?
$35,000.
Just 35,000. Okay, we'll wait for everyone to finish if we are getting 35,000.
So I'm getting 44,000.
Okay, someone else got 44,000.
I also got 44,000.
Also got 44,000.
Okay, let's see how we got it wrong. 35, direct labor is already 20. 20 plus 16 is already 36. So the 35 cannot be correct because it's direct labor plus, it's 20 plus 16 plus the absorption, overhead absorbed. The one that got 35, did you see where you got wrong? You went wrong?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. This is now when we are dealing with units. Now, the last few minutes that are left, Because we won't do the under and over today, I want you to first process this. The under and over, we will either do it tomorrow and not tomorrow, Monday, since Monday there's also no school. We will do it on Monday. Now, this question is now the type of question that you will get in the exam. The other ones were just simplified so that you can understand the concept. Let's go through this question together, but you are going to do it yourself as soon as we finish the class. You do it yourself, you send me the answer. It's not for recording, but I just need to see that you understand. Shimwenye Manufacturing produces premium school jackets that go through the following two production departments. So this company is producing school jackets, but it has two departments. There is the first department that is just cutting. And then there's the second department that is doing the finishing and maybe the branding and the writing down matric, what, and so on. Now it's indicated here that the first department is labor intensive. People there who are cutting, they use their hands. It's a labor intensive department. While the second department is capital intensive. This information will be given to you. If it's not given to you, then the department with more hours will be the one that is for that. It will be the one that must use that activity level. But when we go to the exercises, you will know what I'm trying to say. Okay, the following are the budgeted figures for February. Usually we only have overheads for one and then labor. Now we have overheads for cutting and their labor, overheads for finishing and their hours. Now, the other exercises, we only had one of each. Here we have both. That means in this case, you are calculating two rates. You calculate two rates, you absorb 2 times. An order of 40 jackets was received from a local school. The material and requirement for each jacket ordered are as follows. Now, these are the costs. Direct material. This is now the direct, the materials themselves. The direct expenses. Now remember here, I said here we had to put 3,900, but some exercises you need to calculate it yourself. That exercise that we are busy with, you need to calculate this labor yourself. That's why I said this one, it's not difficult, but it's an exam type. The labor is going to cost us how much? For us to do these 40 jackets, it's going to cost us 45 per jacket. Remember, per jacket, $45 per jacket. Each jacket will take 2.5 hours in the cutting department. And each jacket will take $20. The person who is doing the jacket, you need to pay that person $20. Now, the first question is now saying, calculate the overhead absorption rates for each department. This one should not be difficult because you just use the information that are there. Then you get the overhead absorption rate. The second question, prepare a job cost statement showing the total cost of 40 jackets. Now, total cost of 40 jackets means you get the direct material for the first department, you get the direct material for the second department, you get the prime cost, and then you do the overhead absorbed for the first department, you get the answer. Overhead absorbed for the second department, you get the answer. Then you get the cost of one jacket. But remember, how many jackets do we have? We need 40. And what is the question asking you to do? The question is asking you for 40 jackets. So what you are doing here, you first get for one jacket for one department, one jacket for another department. Then you get the combined, multiplied by 40 jackets, then you get the total cost. That is what I need you to do for me now. If there is clarity that you need, I'll give that clarity on Monday. If I see that most of the people who are giving in the exercise don't understand it, it will be the first thing that we will do on Monday, just to do the whole exercise. If we are correct, then we don't even have to do it. When you are sending your homework, remember you send it to the MTC number 081. This video, I'm going to put it up on YouTube right now. I don't even need to edit it. I'll just put it up there. If there's still something you don't understand, you go and rewatch it. And then you do for me that, and then you send it to my number for me to check. Is there any question before I?
Sir,
Yes.
can sir please send the link, because I've been having trouble with the screen. I could not see, like, says what is it says recording was not visible.
Okay, you just, yeah, I'll send the link to the YouTube channel.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, because I'm uploading it immediately, because the thing of waiting for me to go and edit it again and so on, it's taking time. I'll just upload it immediately. You can go watch it. I need the homework. I need it by tomorrow evening, by tomorrow at 7 in the evening.
What
Any
homework,
other
sir?
question?
Sir, on Monday, are we gonna have class and the competition?
Yes, on Monday we are going to have class and the competition. I didn't actually talk about that. We will have the competition on Monday, because today we had a problem with this link, so we'd rather move it on Monday. And by now, since most of you already understand absorption, I think under and over won't take long. So if we finish over and under in 30 minutes or 40 minutes, then we can use the remaining minutes for the competition. The competition will cover cash budget, depreciation, and absorption costing, not over and under. What we did today will also be covered. So what will happen is it will be a multiple choice questions. The question will come on the screen, and then you might have to do, it will probably be, these are the following information and so on. Which one is the correct absorption rate? Then there's A, B, C, D. You do the calculation, then once you get your answer, the absorption rate is maybe 42, you select 42. It will be in that way.
So what should we submit tomorrow?
This one, I'll put it on the group now. Example.
And then the other one you send on
the cash budgets. The
Yes,
cash budgets must come in next week, Friday.
Okay, sir.
Next week, Friday.
And
So
what
we
you will
still have
send?
Yeah, this is the one.
What
This
you will
one.
send on?
Excuse me?
And the one you will send on the group now, we hand it in tomorrow, at least
Tomorrow
by
at
7.
Yeah, tomorrow at 7.
Okay.
It's a short one. By today, some of you, I know some of you, within an hour, you are already starting to give me.
Yes, sir.
All right.